Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second instalment of the More Cans Ain't Wise podcast, the podcast looking to normalise drinking at home during the lockdown by yourself. I'm joined by my co-host, James. I am Ben. How are you doing, James?
Hi, mate. How are we getting on?
Hi, I'm hungover. How are you?
Yeah, also very hungover today, so
Yeah.
a little bit slow.
This was pretty low down on the list of things I wanted to do today in terms of cracking open a beer.
Yeah, looking at this table in front of me, these beers, mate, I'm having a bit of some second thoughts.
Yeah, I said to Bet we could just pretend to drink and not actually do it. And she said, no, that's not right.
Yeah, it's not in the what's the word? It's not in the feeling of the show, is it?
No, I was talking about sporting integrity. Well, you were, and I was showing very little sporting integrity last week. So, yeah, it's probably in my nature, I think I'm starting to learn. But nonetheless, we have cracked open a beer each, and we are going to, crack on with the show. Just like to say thank you very much for everybody who got in touch on all the social medias, because we weren't even really planning to release last week's. It was just sort of a dry run to see how we get on. And the feedbacks have been amazing. So we've taken a lot of what you've said on board and changed very little. But yeah, thank you very much. It's More Cans Pod on both Twitter and Instagram, and morecansaintwise@gmail.com. If you want to get in touch with us, we'll read out anything you send, because so far we've not had a single email. But we have got 20 odd Twitter followers, whereas the other day we only had 2.
And that was me and you.
That was us too. But yeah, so the first segment of any podcast that we're going to do is going to be the beer review. And this week, I think James is going to take us away again, because I won't be able to say very much about this one. But yeah, take us away, pal.
Yeah, so we've gone for a Weiss beer today. I thought it'd be kind of cool for us to go for a Weiss beer. I think they're super chill summer beers. I think they're great food pairings with barbecues and stuff. I thought it was a great way to start. Would be, and this is a classic to be fair, Francis Canner.
I'm glad you pronounced that.
Probably butchered the pronunciation of that, but it's from Munich. It's one of the oldest breweries in Germany, actually, Francis Canner, and it's they've been making this beer for variations of this beer for nearly 700 years. So it's mad.
It says on the bottle 1363, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Now, cynics would say that not a lot happened in 1363. And I'd like to say to those cynics, you're wrong, because in 1363, Philip the Bold became Duke of Burgundy.
Did he really?
Yeah. So it wasn't just this beer. That was not just the only revelation of 1363.
I mean, I think I'd quite like to be James the Bold. Like anytime you get your first name and then the after it, Alexander the Great or whatever.
Yeah, Ivan the Terrible. I'd be Ben the Terrible.
Yeah, I could live with the terrible. Like at least you're known, aren't you?
It's better to be known for being terrible than not known at all.
100%.
You'd rather be you'd be infamous to be famous.
Yeah, Ben the something.
Yeah, people have called me many somethings.
Somethings.
But yeah, so Weiss beer is German for wheat beer, and I didn't Google this, for authenticity again. What is a wheat beer?
Right. So in terms of wheat beers, you'll see 2 things. So you'll see Weiss beer, which is kind of the German.
Yeah.
And wit or wit beer, which tends to be more the Belgian styles.
Okay, the strong stuff.
So the base, so to be a wheat beer, it usually has to be more wheat than barley.
Okay.
So a German traditional, like this is what's known as a Hefeweiss. So this is like pure wheat with some barley.
Okay.
So anytime you see Weiss or wit beer, it will just be very similarly made. It's just when they're being produced, there is a higher quantity of wheat than there is barley.
Does that contribute towards the lighter taste?
Yeah, so I was on the nose, for example, like you're gonna get like kind of sweet. I kind of get banana, but you get that yeast smell from it.
Yeah,
and you also get, if you're looking at it, it's gonna come across as cloudy. That's just because of the wheat content.
Yeah.
So there's no fine. So for example, last week's beer, Landlord, that has finings put through it at the end of its brewing. That takes out all the impurities and whatever, so that you get a clear beer. With a wheat beer, this kind of classic golden that you're looking at, cloudiness, that's what you're going to get all the time. So tasting wise, we always say that it is up to anyone to like, in terms of these tasting notes are only what I think, but like very citrusy, very orangey, and kind of spice and clove. Yeah. So like if you're looking at home to like partner it with food and stuff, like it's ideal. Whether at the moment like barbecues, it's just amazing with any red meat, or if you don't eat meat, like great with like cheese boards and stuff. It's just so versatile. So I think we wanted to do a vice beer this week. Was one, it's cracking flags outside. It's
I was going to say sun's out, which is
and this is a great introductory beer to anyone who wants to look at getting into.
100%. It's one that you might not have come across, but they sell this in the co-op as part of the 4 for £7 deal. And big up the 4 for £7 deal.
4 for £7 is the boy, you know.
It's absolutely fantastic, isn't it? Because there's it's sort of been my downfall this weekend because I had to try all of the 14 beers that I had. One of which was this, actually, so it was just 13. I really like it. I do think, though, whoever wrote this particular online review was perhaps taking LSD at the same time. It says, it's a copper golden wheat beer and it unfolds with an aromatic fragrance and harmonious banana and citrus fruit flavour.
Hey, mate, are you reading my diary again?
That sounds like Alice in Wonderland to me. Proper nice is my...
Yeah, it's delicious. It's an easy drinking, great summer beer.
Yeah.
I've written down a couple of other beers. If people kind of like this style, there's been a shift towards in the American market, especially towards like a wheat beer, Belgian style wheat beer. Yeah. I know this isn't Belgian, but this style. So I've written the Blue Moon for anyone who's not had Blue Moon out of Colorado. It's amazing. Again, from pretty much all major supermarkets will sell that. And Goose Island 312 is my favourite of those at the moment. Again, a wheat beer, similar tasting profile. Again, available from Asda.
Yeah.
So if people kind of want to expand and try other things, then...
I never knew that Blue Moon was nothing to do with Manchester City. I thought it was a Mancunian thing.
No, that's got to be high on the bucket list. In fact, I'm going to get to that. But one of the places in the world in our top 3 is very closely related to Blue Moon. So.
Oh, really? Right,
yeah.
Okay.
So keep on listening, guys.
Well, as we're talking about German beer, and you just mentioned the top 3, I think we should seamlessly go into our second segment of the show. And the top 3, because you won the Guinness game last week, by default, because I cheated and lost anyway. We've gone for places in the world that you'd own a pub. Now, it could be anywhere. Money's no object. We did ask on social media, actually, got some feedback about where you guys, and I've actually nicked one because it was better than my ideas. Would you like to go, mate? Or I've got one.
Shoot away, mate. That's the...
Right. So let me take you back to about 5 years ago. Me and a friend of the show, John Ragg, were interrailing around Europe. And we stayed in Berlin for a bit. That was the first place we went to. And we decided to go and watch a football match. But because I don't think Union Berlin had bled for the shirt quite as well as they have now, they weren't in the top flight. For whatever reason, we went to go watch a Wolfsburg game. Now, I want to open a pub on that train. That train is an hour and 3 minutes long. And on the way there, we, we're sort of excited, took a couple of cans on like you do. And then I don't know how we came across it, but we came across this carriage. And if we didn't come across it on the way back as well, I'd think it was a figment of my imagination. If you imagine a red velvet decorated carriage with wooden features inside and a proper bar. I mean, it looked like an oldie worldy pub, but it was on a train. And any drinking in transit is better. I mean, it's just unless you're driving. But So yeah, hour and 3 minutes. We get to the football match. Watch the match. You can drink in the stadium, which was great. We left a bit early to, beat the rush to the pub carriage. And we get on the pub carriage and it's an absolute riot. Like smoking inside, vodka going everywhere. It was insane. I don't know if Wolfsburg even won the match. Wolfsburg, by the way, is the VW capital. It's the VW headquarters. And not a lot else goes on there. So I think a lot of people travel from Berlin to go there. So this train is an absolute riot. So much so that at the first stop, the riot police get on there, shields, batons, everything. Me and John, pretty English-looking lads, get turfed off with the German hooligans. We're then like, no, English. They go, oh yeah, no, these guys are obviously shithouses and not anything to do with these ultras. Let us back on the train. So we get back on the train, and this is a moment that defined the rest of our lives, actually, in that if we hadn't have made the right decision here, we wouldn't have had a rest of our lives because we'd have been killed. So we found a money clip on the floor, which was absolutely massive. One of these hooligans had dropped a significant amount of euros. Like I say, we were interrailing, can't necessarily return all this money. What should we do? What would you do in that situation?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? Like
cash. So hooligan, your train's about to leave from the station. They've definitely been thrown off. So
it's an argument, isn't it? Like if you find a tenner on the floor,
yeah,
you got to pick it up and put it in your pocket.
You are. What's your threshold there?
This is what I'm saying. So if you find £1,000 on the floor, you're probably going to ring the police out and take it in. I don't know at which point those two meet.
Right. So this was definitely thousands of euros. It was unbelievable. Anyway, so bent down to go and pick up this money, when an ultra runs back on the train, absolutely going off his head, as you would be if you lost, thousands of pounds. Now, this ultra, you don't have to imagine very hard what he looks like, because if you imagine Vin Diesel, that's it. He was Vin Diesel, but in my mind, 7 foot tall, So anyway, I'm about to pick up this money clip off the floor that he's identified as his own. He picks it up, gives us a look, then the policeman wrestles him back off the train. Happy days. We didn't do anything wrong. Had a great time. I want to own the Velvet Riot pub with wooden features on the Wolfsburg to Berlin train.
That is a steady start, I've got to say, shout out for train beers.
Train beers, yeah.
I think we should at some point do a top 3 of best situations for beers, but a train beer can turn any amount of travel, however mundane, into all right.
Well, it's awesome, isn't it? Drinking, it's an English tradition. Drinking transport.
It's got to be up there for me on things I like. Call me sad, but I do like a table on a train.
Yeah. So you click the option on the.
And say we're going back to where we went to university. Say we're going back to Hull and I'm going from Leeds.
Yeah.
That feeling of putting a 4 or a 6 deck on the table.
Yeah.
When nobody else is drinking.
Getting a punk IPA from a Virgin train.
You feel like a king, don't you?
You do feel like a king, and then someone will look over to you, and when you've had a few beers on the train, and then so you go, "Oh mate, do you want one?" And you feel like a king amongst men sharing out your beers.
Oh, mate, so I came back from a stag do last year from Budapest.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was Tink stag do. So we're in Budapest. We fly back to London, get a Stansted at about 11, nearly midnight. So yeah. I stayed in a hotel and I get a train back the next day. Unfortunately, my dad sorted me out first class through work or whatever.
Happy days.
And I'm the most hungover anyone's ever been. Like 3 days on the beers, just like Budapest was ludicrously cheap.
Budapest prices, yeah. Good beer as well, I found.
Oh, it was phenomenal. Like, and so I'm sat in a first class carriage. It's middle of summer. I'm the only person in either first class carriage, like 3-4 p.m. on the Monday afternoon.
Yeah.
And this guy gets on at Peterborough, and he doesn't sit like on the next table on to me. He doesn't sit like the other end of the carriage. He sits opposite me.
You got an admirer.
With which he must have got from the trolley as he was getting on 2 cans of Kronenberg. Yeah. And by the time the waitress or the attendant came round the first time after 10 minutes. He'd drunk both Kronenbergs.
Right, so he's on a mission.
Yeah, and he starts talking to me whatever. I'm hungover. Persuades me to have a Kronenberg with him. Bearing in mind, I've got a Coke, a coffee, and a water in front of me at this point. The guy has between. Bearing in mind, he said he was going to Edinburgh. Between Peterborough and Leeds, he had 9 cans of Kronenberg.
Do you know, I think he likes train beers more than we do.
Mate, he's the if train beers is a religion, he's the Pope, mate.
Well, we need to exonerate him of, because I was going to call him like a urinal stander, you know, somebody who'd come right next to you, because that's unacceptable on a train if there's space. But
oh yeah, I mean, it was. I was very conflicted. It was a hard balance to have. Yes, I've not got much time for him invading my personal space, but
yeah.
It is train beers and it is party, so I was kind of conflicted a little bit.
I love making friends on the train after a night out, but it's the bane of Beck's life because I'm an absolute tit, just trying to get to know everybody. It's a polarizing one, isn't it? People are either very yes or very no.
And I've seen it in action, mate. So
can't blame it.
I'll go with my number one, and I think we should say get on Twitter and Insta and tell us whose top 3 is better. I mean, that's a huge start from Ben, to be fair. Like
German train, Wolfsburg to Berlin,
nice.
Hour and 2 minutes either way. Happy days. Oh, that's it.
So I'm going to go 3-1. So, but my first one is Coors Field, Colorado. Rocking the shirt today. It's home of the Colorado Rockies. The two good things about, the one good thing about baseball is I don't really like it, but it's like cricket. You can just go for a full day and do drinking. Yeah. And there's parts of Coors Field which are strictly over 18s only. So you've got
Coors is in Molson Coors.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yes. So there's almost like a nightclub area of the stadium.
Oh, I can't hear. Okay, I think we're going to have to... Can you hear me? Brunners?
Oh, I've just lost audio, mate.
Oh, there we go. Right. So if you go back, I will... What time are we on? Oh, fuck it. I'll just find it. So if you go from part of the stadium's like a nightclub.
Yeah, so part of the stadium's like a nightclub. No family issues down there. You can just party the afternoon away. There's beers flowing. There's a brewery in the stadium. The Blue Moon Brewery's in the stadium.
What?
So if I was having a bar, I'd want my bar on the top of that terrace.
Yeah.
Pumping out the Blue Moons and the tunes.
That's sort of testament to how watchable baseball is, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. There's you can have a 3-course meal in there. I saw one of them's got a swimming pool and a cinema in it, which is. I'm just going to the baseball, but I'm just going to watch Ben Affleck's latest 3 hours. You know what I mean? It's mental.
Do a few lengths and then have a pint.
It's mental.
Sounds quite nice, actually, that. But Americans, I mean, the sport is definitely like the side piece, isn't it? In a lot of.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate to go watch the Broncos in San Francisco last year, and the tailgating was something I absolutely loved. Like,
what's that?
So the pre-match drinking and barbecue.
Wow.
Like, yeah, everyone's like, I think the game kicked off at like 4 p.m. and there were people out there. We got there at midday, and there were people who'd been there 2-3 hours, and they'll drink for like 4 or 5 hours before the game, barbecue, and then go to the game and then drink after.
Have you seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
I've never seen it.
Oh, bloody hell, mate. Well, all right, okay, you need to.
Is that my homework for this week?
No, we've got loads of other homework. But no, basically, they just there's a scene, there's a bit where they're all sat outside this stadium waiting for it to happen, and everybody's in their pickup trucks, like barbecues on the go, beers flowing, keg stands. Yeah, it looks fantastic. I've never wanted to go to America, you know, but this is making me sort of want to go.
I absolutely loved it, mate.
Yeah.
Like, I've been like as a kid and whatever.
Yeah.
But to actually go as an adult, and San Francisco was so liberal and open and mad. Like the bars were great.
Yeah.
Like the people were great. It was just a totally new. It was cool going somewhere really foreign, if that makes sense.
What?
Like the
English speaking. Oh.
Yeah. I don't mean in terms of language. I mean just in terms of culture and the way of life and stuff was so different from here. It was great. I loved it.
Well, people rarely liken Bradford to San Francisco, do they?
It's a bit of a stretch, mate, if I'm honest.
Apart from you've got that big hill that's sort of similar to the winding road, you know, coming into Bradford where you drop down from the motorway.
Oh, mate, yeah, that's a killer after the beers, mate.
Nobody's Instagramming that though, are they?
The Golden Gate Bridge of Whimsy. It doesn't quite work, mate.
No. Right, well, I'll go for my second, which isn't mine. It's from your mate. I'm going to say St. Arnold on Twitter.
Oh, Graham. Shout out, Graham.
Yeah, thank you very much for getting in touch, mate, because I had a pretty shambolic second choice. This one is probably my number one, apart in terms of how great a suggestion it is. It's just that I know I'm definitely going to enjoy the other one more. So this is, it's Holy Island. The Crown and Anchor is the name of the pub. And Holy Island is off the coast of Northumberland. And what's really magical about this this pub is that not only is it available for £65,000, not only is it profitable, it actually turns a profit, this pub. It's tide dependent because it's off the coast. So during high tide, there's no movement to and from. So you've got to read the tide map and the tide timetable in order to know, you know, whether you're going to be able to get home. So I love the idea of having a lock-in twice a day.
I love that. I was also going to say, if you get a boat back, is that counted as drink driving if it's international waters? Or is it...
There's not drink driving on... Also, international waters is not between Northumberland coast and Holy Island. But no, I don't think there is a drink driving limit for boating. But yeah, I don't know.
I'm pretty sure we're wrong there, but there must be a...
I don't want to take it to a dark place, but we can Google it. I'm sure that's the kind of thing that people want to hear about on Twitter when we've done this episode. But yeah, so I love the idea because I like going to a pub with no signal. I think that that's one of the cornerstones of a good pub is having no signal.
Oh, yeah, like I would 100% agree with you. Like, one of my first ever bar jobs was a place up like past Grassington.
Yeah.
To get any signal on your phone in the pub, it had to. My phone had to be on top of a windowsill.
That's the one. That's the one.
But we say this, but then we always have a go at Sam Smith's pubs.
No, I like that. I'm a big fan. Yeah, because it adds an extra danger element when you get your phone out to check the time.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? Like we said before, like both me and our friend Ross have been kicked out of Sam Smith's pubs for being on our phone.
Yeah, no, I've never had that. So, yeah, if I'd been thrown out, I would never go to one ever again. Yeah. So I guess I don't like the rule. It just hasn't been enforced on me.
Well, the problem with ours is that in Bradford, Shoulder and Mutton is a Sam Smith's pub.
Yeah.
Bit of a very strange pub atmosphere, actually. It's very old.
Well,
school.
No music, loads of old people, and minimal chat does that, doesn't it?
But when you go through to the outside, it's still got outside toilets. It's that type of place. But you go, yeah, Bradford.
No, I'm just saying that's Bradford in general.
Yeah.
Houses.
You go through the pub and it's got the greatest beer garden you've ever seen. Now, if I said I was never going to Sam Smith's pubs again,
yeah,
I'd be struggling, you know.
I think a good show and tell would be who Sam Smith is, who he's related to.
Oh, interesting. There's a lot of hearsay goes on with all that stuff, isn't there?
All right. Are you telling me that I believed some rubbish?
No. I'm just saying,
right.
I don't think I know myself. That's the...
Oh, well, spoiler alert, Sam Smith is the brother of John Smith.
All right, yeah, that wasn't a spoiler, but yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, that's commonly known. I'll tell you what, I'm going to get, because we got some feedback from one of your mates about me, wasn't it? It was like, yeah, it seems like he likes his beer, but knows fuck all about golf. And now it's going to be, seems like he likes his beer, knows fuck all about beer.
Yeah, Jim Bell was pretty brutal with you.
Oh, is that who it was?
Yeah,
Hey, well,
I think the quote was, seems like a lovely lad, but he fucking doesn't know golf, does he?
well, being described as a lovely lad is usually, it's like a backhanded compliment, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, he's a lovely lad. He's a lovely lad. He's just, has negative connotations. What's your next pub then?
Oh right, so I'm gonna definitely enforce a stereotype of me being a bit of a northern monkey here, but I'm going to Scarborough Beach.
Of all the beaches in all the world.
North Bay, Scarborough.
Yeah.
So take your mind away from the main strip in Scarborough. The North Bay Beach is beautiful. The cricket comes there once a year.
Yeah.
North Riding Brewery's up there, which is one of the best pubs in the UK.
Okay.
I would go there. Not too far to go watch Burnley on a Saturday.
Yeah.
It'd be all right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's a pretty boring one after we've talked about trains and all types of madness.
Double lock-ins. My next one's pretty boring, to be fair. And we spoke yesterday, but I can't remember the conversation too well because I started in my hunt for content. I was trying to take as many pictures of cans as I could to put them on Instagram. So I kept having to drink them. But anyway, we spoke, and I think we've both done this one. If we've not, then that's fine. My number one is Manchester Airport. It's not quite Scarborough Beach, but it's somewhere that I think it's magical for me, Manchester Airport. One of my favourite parts of a holiday is the beers at unsociable hours in an airport. I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's the full ritual of it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Paying too much money for a questionable lager.
Yeah.
Taking a picture of it on the table.
Yeah.
And then posting it on your Insta and your social media.
Now, my ritual is actually a bit deeper than that. My ritual is being told not to go out the night before a holiday, going out the night before a holiday, getting up in the morning, absolutely ready to go in that I'm still pissed, get a taxi to the airport, leave my phone and or wallet and or keys in the taxi, go to check in, realise what I've done, ring the taxi comes back, charges me 10 quid, then everything that you just said. That's happened more than once.
I love that. Again, it's the same idea as we were always saying about beer being situations rather than taste sometimes.
Well, you said the train beer.
Yeah,
the plane
exactly.
Beer. The pre-plane beer.
The pre-plane beer.
Now, you've come across, like you've just mentioned there, a reason why I want to open the pub in Manchester Airport, because you don't want to overpay and you don't want a questionable lager. You want a proper beer for a proper price. So my pub is going to be a proper pub. I'm going to get some sort of signal blocker, which won't be ideal stationed at an airport, as I can imagine it might interfere with things. But look, this is my idea. I want it. There's going to be a pool table, because I think a pub needs a pool table. People will disagree, but I don't care. And it's going to have a jukebox, which is going to be to the annoyance of a lot of people, mainly people on business.
People, please tell me on our feed, but I think jukeboxes should be set on fire.
I think jukeboxes are fire. They are the fire that flames the atmosphere. Fuck it.
I get what you're saying. I've just got no time, you know.
If I'm pissed and I want to put AC/DC on, shook me all night long, then I'm doing it well.
I love that that's your go-to song.
I'll tell you what, I didn't prepare that. I just that was off the cuff. And also I've got we're gonna have bouncers on the door, and strictly it's not to check people's age, obviously, because the airport beer is not limited to people of 18 and above. It's going to be checking to see your boarding card. Any speedy boarders not allowed in. Fuck them. Anyone who tries to dive in front of you at the queue, no, not at any time for them.
It's a madness, that, isn't it? Like the fast boarding on a plane, because the plane goes at the same. It's a big metal box with wings that flies at the same rate to wherever it's going.
A tin can full of other people's farts, in the words of Frankie Boyle.
I've got a lot of time for that. It's madness though. Why would you queue to get on a
Well, I don't blame the speedy boarders for being arseholes. They are arseholes, but I don't blame them because I've been given a speedy boarding card before, and it's something about having the card. It's like having the one ring. It changes you.
You become a judgmental dickhead.
You just become a prick, and you're like, I bet those people in the queue in front of us don't have speedy boarding. I mean, it's not the same at Alton Towers, I don't think, for the queue jump.
Yeah, you see, I can kind of get it with that because you're queuing for an experience, then you can leave, can't you? if you're queuing for a plane and you get on a plane quicker, you don't get off quicker. You don't get off at 30,000 feet, do you? Oh, I've done my 2 hours. Flying to Athens and get out somewhere over Amsterdam.
Speedy,
you know what I mean?
Speedy departing, just kicking them off in midair. You get to your destination in 300-400 pieces.
Yeah.
But you get there quicker. That's my number one anyway, definitely.
Oh, well, my number one's very cliched, but I kind of like it. I've gone Paz La Casa, Andorra.
Okay. Oh, yes.
As my mate described it, Ibiza in the snow. It just everything about it is great. That ski, and it doesn't have to necessarily be Paz La Casa, but that après ski vibe.
That and everybody on the tables. No one can dance.
No.
Everybody is. You got your ski boots on. You click them together like Wizard of Oz. It's brilliant.
All the girls look great as well. I found that all girls are attractive in après ski settings.
Introduce me to an ugly female snowboarder.
I can't, Benjamin. That's the. I think you've proved my point there.
Exactly.
So yeah, I know it's cliched. Please let us know what you guys reckon to your top three. And
we're gonna put a vote online because I've been trying to do a Twitter poll, but I haven't had anything to poll about. So here we go.
So yeah, who do you think's won this week's top three?
Imagine a proper pub in an airport, though.
Scarborough Beach. Think Scarborough Beach, people.
Right. So there are top threes done. Now, last week, James did an unbelievable job of the show and tell segment of our podcast. And I wanted you to do it the first week because I didn't want to do it. And now I don't want to follow yours. But I'm going to try. It's of a very similar topic, to be fair.
I'm pretty excited because I have no idea what it is.
I was wondering, did I tell you what it was on the phone yesterday?
You rambled a lot, but you managed to not tell me, which I enjoyed.
That's fantastic. So I'm going to tell you a story about a man and the creation of heavy metal music. And I want you to just answer yes or no. Have you heard the name Tony Iommi before?
I have not.
That is brilliant, because if you had, what a waste of time this would have been. Tony Iommi was born in February 1948. And in his young teenage years, he used to meet up with a few of his mates and do band practice. The name of the friend who had the place was Terry Geezer Butler. Pretty important name. Again, if you've heard of him, don't say.
Is that his actual middle name? Geezer?
It's not. No, it's, when somebody's got like a bit like having a the in your name. This is like, when your nickname is so your name that you become. He's called Geezer Butler.
Like Bono.
Is that not his name?
Is that not his name?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
Is that like Napoleon? No.
Anyway, so this Geezer fella.
Anyway, so they're at Terry Geezer Butler's flat, and they notice that outside they're opposite a cinema, and there's always long queues for all the horror films that are on. Now, this is a few years after the Summer of Love movement, the hippie movement, sort of in the late 60s, taking lots of drugs and having sex with lots of people.
Yeah.
Eventually. Yeah. They started a band, it's sort of in reaction to the hippie movement. And so what they decided to do was they decided to get into the occult, the scary, take lots of drugs and have sex with lots of people. So it was entirely different to the hippie movement. So yeah, age 17, he decided they were doing quite well with the band, and being from Birmingham, I'm going to obviously do his accent. Age 17, him and the band that are called Earth. You might not have heard of Earth. yeah, they decided to go on the road, make it big. And back in the day, all it was signing on the dole, getting a shit van, buying some equipment and trying to be a band. And he goes, all right, mum, me and the rock band are going to go make it big on the road. I think we've got what it takes to make it. And she goes, and she's Sicilian, which is important. Tony, we didn't raise you this way. You need to stay and do your job in the factory. When's your last day? He goes, okay, mum. I'll be honest with you. I've got one shift left, and I wasn't going to go in, but since you're telling me to, I'm going to do my last shift. So he goes in to do his last shift in this metalworks, and it just so happens on this fateful day that somebody didn't turn in that day. They didn't have Sicilian parents who made them go in. And so Tony's boss, who is also Brummie, has the same accent actually as Tony, says, all right, Tony, I know you haven't actually operated this guillotine press today or before in your career, but I need you to do it just for your last shift. And predictably, Tony accidentally chops off his middle two fingers on his right hand. As a left-handed guitarist, that means that he has lost the two fingers which are used to make chords, sort of instead of the strumming hand.
I mean, the middle two fingers is an impressive vibe, isn't it? In terms of, I could understand the first two fingers or your last two fingers, but to take the middle ones out is an effort, isn't it?
That's very, very true. I didn't actually consider that. So anyway, he loses his fingers and he goes into hospital. This is his last shift before he's about to go make it big with the band. And the doctor says, and he's also, he sounds a lot like Tony and he sounds like a lot like his boss. He goes, Tony, I'm really sorry, but unfortunately, given the nature of your injury, you're not going to be able to play guitar ever again. And he's like, oh no, that's awful. And the guy goes, well, I know, but it is what it is. I'm going to stop doing the accents now. Anyway, so long story short, he's got two stumps in the middle of his hand and he thinks he's never going to go play guitar again until somebody in the factory gets in touch with him and says, yeah, mate, I ain't quite finished. You want to hear this Django Reinhardt? He is, I know you don't know who he is. He is the best gypsy jazz guitarist of all time. And he's never wanted to hear guitar again, ever again in his life. He plays it in his hospital bed and he sounds amazing. He goes like, this is awesome. That's fantastic. Why is it relevant to me? And he goes, well, he lost two fingers on his hand and learned to play guitar in a different way. So all you have to do, because he lost the same fingers on the same hand, you just need to learn how to play guitar with those fingers. Happy days. Now, this was at the same time as the band Earth were getting in quite a lot of trouble because they had the same name as another band who had minor success in England, Earth. And so they did at the same time, they decided to change the name. And Tony was trying to learn guitar again. So he made thimbles out of fairy liquid bottles and put leather at the end of each of the thimbles to try and get some sort of impression on the guitar strings. Now, it sounded okay, but not great. But what he could do really well was play chords using his first and his little finger. And I'm a bit of an amateur guitarist. I'm learning to do these at the moment. They're pretty simple, but they sound fantastic. But it's one of those where previously not many people had played guitar in this way. And then to take this tension out of the strings, he detuned his guitar to make it a few semitones lower. So you get what I mean? Loosen the strings. It's easier to push them in. It's easier to bend the notes as well, make them go like wow type thing.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So he started playing power chords and whatnot. Now this sound that he created, or certainly started using, the power chord, Ozzy Osbourne described as it sounded like the gates of hell opening. Now, the reason Ozzy Osbourne was a party to the early playing of Tony Iommi is because Earth changed their name to Black Sabbath.
I was wondering if that was going, because your Brummie accent was an absolute nail on Ozzy Osbourne.
Right, well that's good. So I'm just gonna play now, and I know this is a bit Tim Pop, but I'm gonna play what the power chord sounds like. Here you go. You familiar with the riff?
Yep.
Big, heavy, bassy music. Inspired the likes of, Nirvana, the Kinks, the Undertones. Blur Song 2 uses power chords. It's just absolutely. They invented heavy metal, some say. Well, everybody says. His injury, if he hadn't have got it, who knows what might have happened.
It's mad how life works. It's so crazy.
That is a heavy metal accident that invented heavy metal music.
I love that. It's crazy to see somebody with that talent who
he had less fingers on his hand than I do, and he was playing guitar to that level.
Yeah, it's wild, isn't it?
Black Sabbath, by the way, recorded their first album in 6 hours, and then went to go and play a gig and get on it, which was pretty much what they did. Famous for, just being proper hardcore rock stars.
Did he bite a head off a bat? Did I imagine that?
Apparently, that was his thing. He did bite the heads off bats. He also pulled the pants down of one of the musicians during the gig, and somebody said to him, "Ozzy, why did you pull his pants down?" He goes, "Oh, he's got a big old schlong he has, and I wanted everyone to see it."
You sounded very much like our mate John Ragg at the moment.
You know what? I've only got that to base it off. That and Frank Skinner.
The big hitters of the world.
Now, I know that didn't have shagging on a baseball field. Might have been a bit heavy in places. But I've got a bit of a surprise for you.
Oh, go on, mate.
Are you ready?
Should I be nervous?
Yes. That's right, James. Do you recognise this familiar music?
Is this the
Yes, that's right. Everybody at home who's recognised it. This is the booze-related drinking guessing game that everybody wants to hear. James, welcome to Play Your Cans Right.
Oh, hey. I love it.
Yeah, man. So, play your cans right. Are you ready?
I'm ready, mate. I feel like I should be worried a little bit, but I'm ready.
The game that I've invented here, it's very simple. I'm going to tell you the percentage of a beer, and then all you have to do is tell me higher or lower. This is based on Play Your Cards Right, which
I like it. Nice.
I've never seen, but yeah.
And percentage is ABV for guys, so how much booze the beer in it's got. Yeah. Higher the better, especially on a Sunday like today.
Yeah, no, I felt pretty ropey at the beginning of this, and much like last week, you do just get into it, don't you?
That Francis can has done me a world of good, mate.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking at the next beer, sort of eyeing it up now.
Yeah.
I've only got the ones that are absolutely necessary. Right, okay. So, here we go. The order, I'm going to give you the first one, and then you just have to say higher or lower. And if you get all 6, then you win the grand prize.
Excellent.
Grand prize, TBC. So, the first beer is Moreland's Old Speckled Hen.
Ooh.
Prize for guessing it right?
It's going to be like 4.5%, isn't it?
It's 5%. No,
5%?
I didn't know how good you'd be at this. So I took some beers. I've got all these beers in. These are just beers that I had. So if they're a bit out there, I apologise.
I mean, shout out to Martin Blunt. When I hear Old Speckled Hen, the first person I think about is Martin
My
Blunt.
dad.
Yeah.
Right. Old Speckled Hen, 5%. We're going next to the Wild Beer Company, Pogo.
Oh, it's 4.1% lower.
All right, you're making a mockery of the game. Yes, it is lower. Well done. It's a passion fruit and orange and guava pale ale, one that I like a lot.
Yeah, if people want to try that, like, it's almost a goes. It's got that sour style. Asda and Tesco sell Pogo wild beer. It's great.
So do Waitrose. Big up Knutsford Waitrose.
We don't have tend not to have any Waitrose in Bradford.
Yeah, I don't want to associate myself with that supermarket. Actually, okay, right. So we're going from Wild Beer Co. Pogo to Foster's. This is canned Foster's.
Foster's is low. It's 4%.
Congratulations. Okay, so next we're going for Red Willow West Coast IPA. Red Willow is a brewery local to Macclesfield. It's got bars in Buxton and Macclesfield. Their beers are awesome.
And post-lockdown, we're going to try and get out to see those guys. That's the plan anyway.
Yeah.
So let us know in the comments if there's anywhere that you guys reckon we should be going to, because we're going to try and get out to as many breweries as we can. Obviously, once all this social distancing's over. I'm going to go, is it a West Coast IPA?
West Coast IPA, is it higher or lower than 4.1%?
It's going to be higher, because I'm going to say higher, 5.2%.
It's actually 5.9%, but I thought the IPA might throw you off. I thought you might think it was a bit lower.
No.
I've realised now that you're going to absolutely walk this because you know the rest. Okay, so we're going to go for the next one, which is Beavertown Lupaloid.
Oh, this is tough. So,
is it higher than 5 or lower than 5.9%?
So we sell this at, I did some shifts at Smokestack in Leeds over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
And we actually sell it, and I can't remember the last time. It's got to be lower than 5.9. It's lower.
It's not lower. Lupaloid is 6.7% in a
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, it's their Gamma Ray's there.
Gamma Ray's the American Pale Ale, which is 6.5 or so. Is it?
Yeah. No, it's the session is Gamma Ray, so it's less than that. But yeah, Lupaloid. I can't remember the last time I had a Lupaloid, to be fair.
Okay, well, these are just, like I say, beers that I have in. And to finish off, it was going to be Carlsberg Special Brew.
Oh, over 6, is it 6.7 or over? Wow. Now, university me would have nailed these. Absolutely nailed these. That's a good beer review, is Carlsberg Special Brew.
It fucking isn't. It is absolutely not.
I'm going to say higher, please.
It is higher. It's 7.5%.
Get in.
You did well, mate. You did well, but you did not win the grand prize. So thank you very much for playing. I've been your host, Ben. I don't know how Tim Pot this sounds with the music on, but you know, I'm going to create a soundboard.
I mean, I'm pretty delighted I haven't won, because that would have killed the budget. So
yeah, it would have been pretty awful, and also you did know all of the answers pretty much. I tried to, because I don't know much about beer. I tried to do logic and stuff, but it didn't work very well.
No, I enjoyed it, mate.
Good. Well, that is my show and tell. Tony Iommi, creator of rock and roll, heavy metal music, accidentally by losing 2 fingers in an industrial heavy metal accident.
Love it, mate. Do you want to chat some more beer?
I think we should chat some more beer, mate.
So, as I just mentioned then about us getting out and going to places post-lockdown, and we want to come out and see as many people who are listening, and we've got loads and loads of ideas for when all this is over.
Not just our ideas. People have been getting in touch and saying, you need to do episodes from the pub. We want to do bar crawls.
Yeah, 100%. So kind of the first thing we were going to do is we've got a really special one next week for this segment. We're calling Brewery Spotlight.
Yeah.
So for the first one, I thought we'd do something pretty, very mainstream now in terms of the craft scene. So we're going to talk about Brewdog. I hope you've got a can of Punk IBA in front of you.
Unfortunately for the podcast, I've actually got a bottle.
That's fine.
And I've already been drinking it because I, want to. That's
fine, mate. That's absolutely fine. So we wanted to start with Brewdog, and the idea is that each week we're going to talk about a different brewery. Ones that are local to us, what type of beers they make. And again, the
chances are, if you've been on a big city night out, you've been to a Brewdog.
So I was actually having a quick look at Brewdog. So it's 2007 Brewdog are around.
Wow.
And huge growth. Started in the first bar in the UK or anywhere was Aberdeen. And that was 11 years ago. That's
a good place to have a pub. A load of really solvent Scottish people and, shift workers, oil workers.
It's nice. They went from that first bar in Aberdeen to 10 years later, like now, they have over 80 pubs worldwide, 80 bars worldwide.
Good, yeah.
Within 2 years of opening, they were the second biggest independent brewery in Scotland. They're just mental. It's mental. So the beer that kind of changed it all for them is kind of the Wetherspoons staple.
Is it Wetherspoons, this?
Yeah, this is the go-to craft beer in spoons. This, but that shouldn't detract from it. I think it's a classic IPA. This, the Punk,
Punk IPA, the one with the blue label. You've seen it everywhere.
So I'm not going to talk too much about Punk, but it's just a classic, highly hopped, pale, just over 5%. Like
5.6.
Delicious.
Made a note of that.
Delicious, easy drinking. If you're looking to get into that style of beer, Punk's a great way to go. Similar.
They sell it on Virgin trains.
Yeah, it's just super popular. I mean, Brewdog have nailed the marketing and the advertising. They always have.
Yeah.
And I've just written some other beers down. If you're interested in this brewery, and one of the reasons we picked Brewdog was that there's so many. All of their core beer range is available through the supermarket. So my favourite, Clockwork Tangerine, is great. Citrus Session IPA. Elvis Juice, the grapefruit IPA, is an outstanding beer.
That was what was my downfall yesterday, the Elvis Juice. Now, I don't particularly like grapefruit, but there's something that works so well about a 6.5%.
Yeah. Grapefruit
infused. Chill it to an inch of its life. It makes your summer. It's a fantastic drink. It's so nice.
And I love Elvis Juice. I think Dead Pony Club's another good beer. Like, it's 3.8% session pale. Again, great summer barbecue drink. It's strange with Brewdog because they get a lot of obviously bad press for, and justifiably so, some of it. Like in terms of how they marketed. So the things you need to know about Brewdog are obviously they're very strong in terms of marketing and they make some good beers, but they've also got a very, very progressive business model. So to start their initial growth, they had millions of money in crowdfunding.
Yeah.
And it was all equity for Punk, so it was selling shares. But they did use that as a platform to bulldoze a lot of smaller independent businesses. But
I see.
They make fantastic beer, and
the Red Bull Leipzig of the beer world.
Maybe, yeah. I think that's a fair analogy, you know. But if you're looking at if you're trying to move away from a lager or whatever, you're looking at trying something a little bit more crafty.
A gateway beer.
Yeah, perfect gateway beer. I would say it is iconic. It is something that I will look at it in a bar, and if I know that I'm going to get a good quality product. I think it's a great beer, as I say. I
think selling it in the supermarket is a big deal. I think that is the best thing about it for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, is that? Because we were asked last week about that in terms of why do pubs sell different beers to supermarkets?
Yeah,
and it's just dependent on the brewery. So a brewery like Brewdog will sell their specials in their bars because they have a platform to do it. But their core beer range, they sell at the supermarket because that's their business model.
Yeah.
Some breweries will only allow 2 or 3 of their beers to be sold at supermarkets. It's all about finding a balance, because if you sell all your beer at the supermarket, it becomes unsellable to the on-trade because no one will buy it. As like a bar manager myself, if I know that all of a brewery's beers are available at the supermarket, I'm never going to buy it direct from the brewery to sell at a pub, because
that's why they don't play the 3:00 games on a Saturday in the football, isn't it?
Yeah, great analogy, mate. Exactly that.
I think I've realised what my position's going to be when you're talking beers is analogies.
I'm a big football analogy fan, though. How great is? Did you see the lineup for the schedules for the new football? 12 Friday, Saturday, 12, 2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah, Beck says she's leaving me, which is terrible, but I'll be able to watch all the games.
Oh yeah, I mean, definitely fight for the relationship here.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
But
you can't do better.
She's gonna love that. She was rinsing me on social media, but when we're trying to establish ourselves as the new coolest, hottest podcast going, didn't really work with the Instagram comments, did it?
No, I mean it was funny. The podcast stuff, wasn't it? Well, we were celebrating ticking over to 10 followers and 10 unique listens, and Joe Rogan signs a deal with Spotify for $500 million.
Yeah, but At one point, Joe Rogan was just like, no, he wasn't. Actually, no. Joe Rogan's never been anything like either of us, has he?
No, he's reading between the lines. It was a bit of a crazy one, wasn't he? Like,
Was he?
I think, I got the impression, like, with his jiu-jitsu and stuff, he can fuck people up if he needs to.
He can fuck people up, and he talks about, like, his history of drug use.
Yeah, I imagine he can handle himself.
Yeah, he certainly can't handle himself when he's doing stand-up comedy, though.
Or is it bad?
Sorry to throw shade at the most successful podcaster of all time ever, but, yeah, diabolical.
Yeah, don't get us clipped off Spotify, mate.
Oh, actually, yeah. Yeah, that is a really important point, actually, and one that I wanted to say at the beginning, right? So we weren't actually planning on releasing this. And then by hook or by crook, I am not good at, all this online stuff to sound like I'm 50. But, managed to get the podcast on Spotify. So thank you very much if you are listening on Spotify. We'll try and get it on Apple Music. It's the same thing, so yeah, should be good. But yeah, we've got a legit podcast now, James. And I don't know if you can hear at home, but the sound quality should be awesome. And that's because we both have microphones now.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of blue sky thinking we could do it on a Chromebook and no headphones, no.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded bloody dreadful. So I rang my auntie, and I didn't think to do this at the time, but she's a producer for the Natural History Department of Radio 4. And so she had some pretty interesting advice, as you can imagine. So you guys can't see at home, but I'm sat in a semi-ISIS-style bunker with pieces of paper scattered about to prompt me into saying what I'm going to say, and then towels around everywhere, which apparently makes the audio better. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the joy of this arrangement, isn't it?
You just said relationship.
Yeah, well, it is a relationship, isn't it? let's not get honest. Beck, don't listen. You can stop listening now. It's that
we can watch the football, mate. We can watch the football.
We can watch the football. How good is it going to be for accumulators? You can watch that. You can watch that first game and then get re-involved. It's going to be great.
Now, being a Man United fan, you don't get any sympathy from anybody ever. But one of the worst things about being a United fan in the last few years has been the hope. I'm fine with us losing a game that we deserve to lose. But then afterwards, it just seems like we're going to be all right again. We win a game and you just think, yeah, this is it. The United of old. And then the millions of pundits that are Man United related on Sky Sports are all like, yeah, this is it. Paul Pogba's going to come good and everything's going to be great. And then we go and get battered by Watford and you're like, no, actually, it's not going to be the one.
Oh, I've almost gone full circle with United, because...
Don't say you don't hate us anymore, because that means we're not a big club anymore.
No, it's so... A few of our friends from uni, like Waffle and that, they waited years and years for a season ticket. And then I'm sure that Waffle and Charles's first season back was... the first season with the tickets was David Moyes' first season.
Now, I went to David Moyes' first game in charge. It was United versus Chelsea, right? And a girl I was going out with at the time, and I went, and I was like, come on, right, you're going to really enjoy it. Wear a Man United... I don't care if you don't want... No, wear a Man United shirt, it'll be fine. We're going to have a really good time. It's going to be great. And we watched the most boring 0-0 I've ever seen. Actually, I think I might have just put my foot in it because it might have been Louis van Gaal's first game. Pretty sure it was David Moyes. Okay, this is going to be like the golf backlash all over again. I promised myself I wasn't going to say anything that I hadn't prepared this week. Anyway, most boring 0-0 I've ever seen. War of attrition. No one had any shots. Absolute shite.
Yeah, I was going to say about United is that. So I went through a period of laughing at them and find it very funny.
Yeah.
I've now, you're not going to like hearing this, but I've now almost find it. I'm almost feeling sorry for United fans now.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't want to hear that. That's yeah.
You like almost 10 years out of being able to compete.
For anybody listening, and there are quite a few. For example, Sam Hemsley who's listening. He's celiac and doesn't like football, so the beer review was not for him, and he's got wheat intolerance, and this isn't going to be for him either. But if you imagine a good analogy for United is, the cool popular kid at school who was a bit of a bully, bit of a dick, but everybody liked him. And then everybody leaves school and they make nothing of themselves, but they stay exactly the same. That's Man United at the moment.
Yeah, you're not inviting him around for tea, are you?
Man United?
Yeah.
No. Well, I mean, no, I don't. I don't know if I want to say this, but I don't really like Man United at the moment. Like, I love some of the players in that, and I love watching them, but just come on, get a grip.
It's a business, not a football club, isn't it? That's the...
Name me a football club that isn't a business, you know.
Yeah, well, good point, isn't it? It's a...
Even your beloved Burnley, I mean, they just do what they can to stay in the league. They don't try and push it to the next level.
It's depressing. We'll get on to another point in terms of the Americans do it right with drafts and leveling the playing field. And
football is shit, that's what you're saying.
Oh, I love football, but...
Yeah, but modern football.
How can it be a league where the same 6 teams... There's only 6 teams in an entire football pyramid that can win the league over the next 10 years. It's not. Yeah. It's not sport anymore. In fact, it's the antithesis of sport. It's just a...
I was hoping they might do like a giant 5-a-side to decide the league. Then that'd be quite good.
I really want to see that football where all 20 teams play it over like a mile.
Yeah. What? A mile?
All 20 teams have a goal left to defend. Like full squads out.
James, have you brought it back to Shrovetide again?
Hey mate, Shrovetide is my boy.
Akinfenwa comes out of retirement, if he is indeed retired, just to come and play Shrovetide football. Akinfenwa, for anybody listening, the biggest, most muscular footballer you have ever seen.
Yeah, I'm having a front two of Akinfenwa and Big Duncan Ferguson for Shrovetide football.
Now, you see, this is the sad thing, is that you're going to have to take people out of retirement for this because there's no modern-day footballers who sort of fit the bill.
And there's nothing harder, though. Like, if you meet a 20-year-old bloke that thinks he's hard, he's never as hard as the mid-40s lunatic, is he?
Who's been there before.
His scars and tats and...
Tells you about the multiple times he's been in prison.
Eat cigarettes for breakfast.
Cigarettes for breakfast.
That's what you need for Shrovetide.
That's not how you get hard. That's how you make your lungs hard. Same thing. You sound like Sean Dyche.
Hey, Dyche, baby.
Does he smoke?
I've never seen him smoke. I can't imagine he smokes.
Yes, as being a footballer for all his career, he can't. That voice has got to be. It can't be from smoking, can it? Because he's only been. If he did smoke, he's only been smoking for about 10 years.
No, I don't imagine he smokes.
No,
he played in that Chesterfield team that got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. He scored a penalty. He scored a penalty. He scored that penalty shootout.
Happy days. I've never heard of this Chesterfield team. The only thing I know about Chesterfield is that they have a church with a wonky spiral.
They got to, I think it's 97. They got to the semi-finals of the FA Cup and drew, I think it's 3-3 with Middlesbrough at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
When they win what is now League One or League Two. It was mental. They beat everyone on the way and they almost made the FA Cup final.
Forest Green are a bit like that, I think. They like a good cup run.
They're a weird spot, aren't they? If you sign for them, you're only eating vegetarian food, aren't you?
Yeah, you are a carbon neutral person. That is a carbon neutral club.
I mean,
they're not going to be visiting my airport bar, are they?
Not with the bouncers, mate. Not with the bouncers and the jukebox.
Do you reckon they get on German trains?
Ooh.
That'd be one hell of an away day, actually. They're not getting into Europe, are they? Also, could you imagine if Forest Green did get into Europe? They wouldn't be able to fly anywhere. There'd be Dennis Bergkamp. Dennis Bergkamp, by the way, scared of flying. Great Arsenal player. Never played European away games for that reason.
I would love to go to... You talk about, away days in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
I'd love to go Forest Green.
Where is Forest Green?
No idea.
Is it? I don't know.
Shout out to the most underrated away day, and we'll probably do a top 3 on it at some point. But Port Vale.
Port Vale, right? Do you know why it's named Port Vale?
I do not.
Neither does anybody. It's not by the sea. There's no reason for it to be called Port Vale. Google it. If anybody does make it to this point in the podcast, which we made that joke quite a few times last week, if anybody's made it to this point, Google why is Port Vale called Port Vale. There is no reason for it. Nobody knows.
That's mad, that.
It's next to Stoke, for God's sake.
Well, I was going to bring it back to beer, because they're Titanic Breweries there.
Oh, yeah?
And it's one of the best. They make some great beer. They make a fantastic cherry porter, and there's a dark mile that's great.
Yeah.
But their brewery tap room is near the ground.
Oh, that's an away day. That is an away day.
So we drew them in the cup like 4 or 5 years ago, and Dyche's attitude towards the cup is play everyone that can't play football.
Yeah. I actually got an email off him saying, "Do you fancy playing?"
Yeah, mate. Just get whoever they fancy in.
Yeah.
Don't do any coaching. Just go out.
Are you telling me that your usual starting 11 does have a load of proper footballers in it?
Footballers is a loose term, isn't it?
Footballers is the name that you describe. You give to Stephen Defoe, who doesn't play for you anymore. Potentially Dwight McNeil, who's going to leave in the summer.
Why are you bringing up Defoe? That's broken my heart. That.
I've had a beer.
I mean, I've had a bit of a panic, and if people could suggest a name for me, that'd be great. But having rocked the same variations of Stephen Defoe non-blondes and Stephen Defoe 442, I'm going to need a new fantasy football name.
Goodmanson Charlotte.
So if anyone's got a decent... Tarkovsky doesn't really work too well in anything, but if you can fit... I suppose Nick Pope's got some legs, hasn't he?
In terms of fantasy football, because I hate the fantasy football team name because, it defines you for the whole season. Now, if anybody did make it to this point and didn't like football or football analogies, they've probably switched off at this point, Yeah. This is the point of the car journey where you think, fuck it, I'm going to listen to Radio 4. There's probably some bird song or something that's more interesting than this. But yeah, no. So I went for Where's Fred the Red? Pretty niche because, Fred Talbot, famous paedophile, United player, Fred. There you go.
Oh, I didn't get that. I always wondered about that name.
Oh, right. So in the north, Fred Talbot used to do, he was the weatherman, and he was also, they did a segment called Where's Fred? And he used to be at certain points in the country, and he'd give you a bit of information about where he was. So say he was in, Portmeirion, he'd sort of show you some bits of it. In fact, they were all regional places, so forget Portmeirion. But anyway, yeah, so Where's Fred? And you had to guess. And now Where's Fred he doesn't do that anymore because everybody knows where he is. Strange Ways.
Oh, is he like Fingers Deep?
What a terrible phrase. Where's Fred? Strange Ways. Where's James? Also Strange Ways.
Strange Ways. Oh, that's mad, that.
Yeah, so he used to... actually, no, I'm not going to go into what he did. But yeah, he is in prison. He tried to evade the law by... it's quite rock and roll, really. Rented a sailing boat and just went into international waters, between Northumberland and Holy Island. Went into international waters so he couldn't be arrested. But I think he needed to come back for something, and that was when he got arrested.
Oh, yeah, I mean, those international waters. The problem with the international waters is when the tide comes in between Northumberland and the Holy Island...
Well, that's when you're in trouble.
It's no longer international waters.
The thing that would really fuck the Crown and Anchor pub would be if it was international waters, then there'd be duty-free pints that would be allowed to be sold.
When we've been on tour before,
that's the only reason I know how far international waters is.
And we're waiting for the duty-free to open. It's only 20 minutes. It feels like 3 hours.
It does. You're all trembling like, meth heads or something. Trying to get, come on, I just need to get some alcohol.
I just need my Foster's that's warm and also 20...
Oh, we lost your audio again. You back on? We got you back? We want you back? Got you back. Yeah, I got you back. Right, we want our Fosters.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do it in the same voice. We want our Fosters. It's 4% or more.
Yeah. Give us our Fosters. It's 4% and warm as fuck. It's 20p that the taxman's not getting.
Now, that sentence is going to sound a bit broken up, and that's because my editing skills are not good enough to make it sound good, and the audio skipped out. We're on Zoom, but when all this is sort of semi-over, we can record this together, and it'll sound a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that, talking about that, is we're learning as we go. So we've got some really cool plans for doing some video logs of beer festivals and beer like the Bermondsey Beer Mile, and my dad was
Yes.
telling us about Curry Mile, for example, all that stuff like
Curry Mile. Yeah, but you can't go for like multiple curries, can you?
Can you not?
What, like do a restaurant crawl?
Just a cheeky pakora and a pint in each one.
Pakora and a pint. You could sit at the bar.
Barges and bottles.
I've got barges and bottles. My God, why am I so behind on this? Right, I need to come up with one. But yeah,
samosas and shots.
If that's even close to a real suggestion, then count me out.
Massala and mild.
Massala and mild. Jalfrezi and Jai Pure. Am I right?
Oh, Jai Pure, man. Iconic again.
That's Thornbridge Brewery. Strong. It's a bit like Elvis juice. It's enjoyable to drink, but, you know, you will end up saying things that you wish you hadn't. But yeah, so that was a long tangent. That was our brewery spotlight segment. Now, what I would like to say is we got a great suggestion from James, and he said, I want to drink along when you do your beer review. So what beer shall I get for next week?
Yeah, so we're going to have, beers-wise, we're going to leave the brewery review because it's something kind of special that Ben's going to do. But the beer review is going to be Club Tropicana. It's now called Club Tropica from Tiny Rebel.
Do you know why that is?
Yes.
Oh, same. But there's a bit of niche information that I thought I had.
Go on, shoot.
It's named after a nightclub, isn't it, in Cardiff? And the nightclub changed it, sued them, so they had to change the name.
Oh, is it the nightclub?
Is it not the nightclub?
I didn't know the information. All I knew was that it was copyright infringement. Yeah.
By the way, if you fancy a tipple, definitely go on the Tiny Rebel website because they've just started making new cans, and they've got packs of 12 for 22, 23 quid. Definitely recommend those. Yeah.
Outstanding beer.
I've got some on the way. I was hoping they'd be here now, but you know, big up again. Co-op 4 for £7 for sorting out my weekend.
Nice.
Right.
Before we go into this, Ben, can we cut this bit out? I've just managed to pour Guinness all over my table. I'm
not going to cut this out. I'm going to vamp for a bit. Right. So James has poured beer all over himself, and now he's going to go clean himself up. And I'll be honest with you, everybody listening, the reason that I'm not going to cut this out is because I am unable to, because I'm really shit at editing at this point. So we've had some bits where the audio's dropped out earlier on. They'll sound how they sound, and we'll be all right. But my editing skills are not that. I mean, in a couple of episodes' time, we've had 32 downloads from the last episode. You know, we'll be pulling in thousands within weeks, definitely. So once we've got the budget, we'll be having professional editors. And then it'll just be a case, you know what? All we have to do is drink and say what we feel. I mean, that's where we're going to be at. That's the dream, isn't it? It's not just the dream, James. It's an achievable reality. I think that was what I was going to say, though, is we're really keen to do stuff that you guys want us to... We kind of want to put content out there that you guys want to see. So if there are beers or there are breweries or there are days out that you think we want to do, then please let us know. Also, I mean, aside from all of that, if you got something funny you want us to talk about or anything, Such is our following at the moment. If you ask for it, we will do it.
Yeah, I was about to say within reason, but I'm shameless, so.
Yeah, well, do you know what? Shameless is a really nice beer made by Red Willow.
Good.
Yeah, man. Right, so let's go into our next segment, which is the weekly Guinness game segment. Now, last week, if you didn't listen before, I kicked this off. I did the first attempt. This is where you drink a pint of Guinness and you try and stop and make sure that the level of the Guinness is between the harp and the word Guinness on a Guinness pint glass. Now, I don't have a Guinness pint glass, so I've had to put blue tack on the side of my regular pint glass. And last week I cheated we were doing this on Zoom video chat, and I looked in the video. So even though I didn't actually win, I also cheated. So I'm not going to do that this week. And James will be my witness.
Okay. Do you want to go first, mate?
I think you should go first because I lost. I went first last time and lost. I think it's like darts. You want to know what you have to beat. Now, the winner of the Guinness game gets to pick the top three for next week. So this was James's choice for top three this week with the way you doing a pub. No.
And we're also just mentioning lifetime standings. I'm currently at 1-0.
Oh, I didn't realise it was going to be lifetime standings.
Lifetime standings, just to put the pressure on.
Would have tried a bit harder, you know.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda, means you're out of time, mate.
So James is picking up the pint glass. He puts the pint glass to his lips. Now the Guinness sign is facing us. He's doing it quickly. He's doing it very quickly. I think he's overshot it by quite a way, but we won't know because he's put it down lower than the camera can see. And it's between the E. It's between the mid-top section of the E. This is hard to commentate on. I am not a commentator. I am struggling.
We're about a 4mm overshoot.
4mm overshoot. Now, can you just, with your fingers, show me how much of your glass is... Because I want to put the blue tack on my glass at the right place.
2 inch.
Right, okay. I've put it a bit high. Right.
I'm fragrantly just switching between mils and inches here.
That's what we do. We're English.
That's how we roll, yeah.
Hey, if we're going to... Well, we're not going to get political. I've got a funny thing to say if we are. You know what? I shouldn't probably be talking about that sort of thing if I can't even stick blue tack on a glass.
Is your glass full? You ready?
Oh, yeah, the glass. This has been full since the beginning. Right, okay. So...
You good?
You might have to vamp here, James, because my thumbs are stickier than the pint.
So here we are, sports fans.
Pure sport, this. Do you know what the first Olympic sport was?
I'm going to go wrestling.
Now, that's a very wise guess. Have you seen Dirty Sanchez before?
Oh, was the first Olympic sport Dirty Sanchez?
No, it was shin kicking, allegedly, according to them.
This is a huge shout out to Josh Bond. We used to play the kicking. Well, I say we used to play the kicking in the shins game. Bond hates it, but basically, the game.
Why wouldn't you hate the kicking in the shins game?
Basically, the rules of the kicking in the shins game is you kick somebody in the shins until one of you gives up.
Yeah, that's shin kicking. Well, there you go. You were Olympic pioneers.
2,000 years after it happened.
So, in case anybody didn't catch it earlier, the university that we're talking about, where people kicked each other in the shins until they couldn't anymore, was Hull University, and that answers that question.
Yeah. So here we are, sports fans. Benjamin has the glass to his lips. He's looking pensive. He's gone for it. 1 gulp, 2 gulps. He assesses the situation. The glass is up. And it's down on the table, and we're looking into pan. And we are very, very close here, sports fans.
I mean, I've not actually looked at it. I've overshot it by less than a millimetre.
Yeah, it's all over it. So we're going to move on to 1-1 in the lifetime standings. And
that's good.
Benjamin, the floor is yours for the top three for next week.
It's not just that, it's 1-1. I've got my pride back. The top three for next week, you put me on the spot here. We're going to go for... We had some feedback, right? And there's 2 schools of thought on this. It's either we want this to be a more beer-related podcast or we want it to be more nonsense-related. Now,
We've definitely gone down the rabbit hole today, haven't we? To be fair, so
I can't believe that I can't think of one. I'm going to go for top 3 pet peeves.
oh mate, I'm filling my boots.
Pet peeves. This is things that annoy you. Bonus points for if they're daft things that shouldn't annoy you but do.
Shout out! It's not going to be one of my top 3, but I am going to say the parenting of other people's children in public.
Well, James, let's take this through. Right, so any other business at the tail end of the show? Have you got any other business to discuss with us?
Other people's parenting of children. That's what I want to say.
Yep.
It's rubbish.
What have you come into contact with?
I don't dislike kids, but I do dislike kids being able to run amok.
Yeah.
I was at the train station. When was it at the train station yesterday? And
why were you at the train station yesterday? It's lockdown.
was it yesterday? No, Friday.
Was it yesterday? No. Sorry, it was 12 weeks ago. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to work, to be fair. So it's
yeah.
And there were just like kids launching water around and running around the platform, and I was like, I'm pretty sure we're trying to be locked down here, right? This is the
thing is though, right? And I'm the same, but you know when some kids are causing absolute murder, and then you're like, I'm not a parent yet, and I don't want to give them 10-0 because what if it is really hard to be a parent? I mean, it looks dead easy, obviously.
Yeah, it's probably fucking hard, isn't it?
Maybe, especially like because you know you get like proper arsehole people. Well, some people are born arseholes. So what if you're just unlucky enough to have an arsehole kid?
Yeah, just like fucking Johnny Knobhead.
Yeah, but then Johnny Knobhead is obviously related to like Ken Knobhead, his dad. And if you're a knobhead dad and you have a knobhead child and you're a knobhead dad and you've already got a knobhead child because it takes after you, you're not going to like reverse your knobhead ways to try and stop the knobhead child being so much of a knobhead, you know? So the knobhead, it's like exponential knobheadery with generation to generation to the point where you get, you know, the current government.
Oh, wow. We've gone there.
No, I haven't really because I don't know enough to comment. But yeah, I think knobhead is inherited, but then it's also bred. Like it's also, yeah. If you got a knobhead dad, you're going to be a knobhead. Which is why we're such sound guys because we both have sound dads.
Yeah. Hi, Dad, if you're still listening.
Hi, Dad, if you've ever going to listen.
Yeah, Martin Blunt gets more shout-outs than anybody on this show, doesn't he?
Yeah. For somebody who hasn't listened yet, he's getting a lot of attention.
He's just piling through the old speckled hens, isn't he?
He's just getting... and the golden hens as well.
Is that like a... I can't say I'm into my old speckled hen knowledge is poor.
So I took, you know those 4 packs of cans where they have the little ring that you can hold in your hand? You can carry them like shopping bags almost.
Yeah, a lot of time for that.
I had a golden hen in one hand and a speckled hen in the other, and I walked into one of these like artisan bottle shop / bars in Knutsford, Dexter and Jones. Awesome bar. And he says, "Oh, would you like any beer? Oh, I see you've already got some shit beer. Would you like some nice stuff?" Like these, mate. I got these from Waitrose. You know, does that not make them posh?
I mean, yeah, it's that whole thing, isn't it? Like we said before, like if you enjoy a beer, then it's fine, whatever you have. Like,
well, Golden Hen is the most drinkable. I mean, it's water. It is. It's nice tasting. You get through it. My God, those 4 cans lasted about. I don't know. Scorch on the earth is what it was.
I don't. Well, one of the first times I ever drank with you, old man, was when. Where did we went to Anglesey, didn't we?
Anglesey was fantastic. We stayed in a caravan, about 6 or 7 of us.
And Ben's old man was there. Like we must have got there at like I was actually doing a sportsman's dinner, and Howard Webb was doing the speech.
No way.
So I didn't get to leave Keighley till like 10:30 maybe. And
you got there proper late, didn't you?
I got there at like midnight, and your old man was like, "Yeah, I'll stay up and have a couple." and obviously being colder, we're thirsty. Like we've both been like driving for ages and whatever.
Yeah, so there was a group of us that got there quite early, and then a group that had work and responsibilities that got there fairly late.
I've never seen a deck of beers evaporate so quickly. It was ridiculous, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's in the genes, that is. So you can inherit knobhead ability. You can also inherit being able to see off a 24 deck in not very long. You should be at ours for Christmas, mate. It goes off.
Mate, I'm gonna vlog it. I'm gonna hide in your bush outside your house and vlog it all.
Well, the podcast is going to be that successful by Christmas time that we will be earning significant amounts of money. We're going to earn so much money, mate, that we're going to be able to pay all the people driving past your house to not drive past anymore.
Oh, can you hear? Is it loud?
No. I mean, you live near a motorbike shop, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think people are going for test drives on the reg.
Oh, mate, that Royal Enfield shop.
Yeah. My any other business is just that I feel like it's been sunny here for so long that I'm starting to become a bit of a sun snob. When you go on holiday, say you're in Spain, because we're English, and all the Spanish people are like, looking scornfully at us as we have factor 50 on, sitting out in the sun all day, poisoning ourselves, or effectively. And now I'm like, these idiots out in the sun all day. Just go out in the evening when it's nice. I'm having siestas, drinking San Miguel. I think that I'm becoming a sun snob. I don't need to go out in it because it's going to be here again in the future. It is going to go away. Yeah,
it's the mad thing, isn't it? Like everyone's like, oh, global warming's killing the planet, but it's fucking cracking flags every day. It's great.
Now, yeah, that's the thing. Rising sea levels, which means the beach gets closer, which is brilliant.
I mean, it's not a problem for us. We both live very much above sea level.
Yes. So, to a degree, I mean, I'm started burning my rubbish rather than throwing it away.
Yeah, it's a problem for future James and future my family. Now,
all you do is just don't have any kids. And then who's it?
I'd like you reminded me of when you said burning rubbish then. I'd like to know people's opinions on in my first year of university, I found out that Primark...
Your first year of university was actually the same time as that Vice beer was being brewed, wasn't it? 1363.
1363, mate. I found, and it was just Primark had just opened the year before, 1362. We found out that Primark sold 5 pairs of white socks for £1.50.
Right.
So instead of washing socks to get that new sock feel, I would just buy a new pack of socks every week.
What?
That's bad for the planet, isn't it?
But equally, you're not flushing all of that detergent-y water into the ecosystem.
Ah, right. You've been non-judgmental, which I've got a lot of time for. But
you wanted me to make you sound better, but the podcast sound better by... Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I agree with you 100%. They're already making these clothes, so you might as well buy once, throw them away, burn them, buy again, because otherwise you put emergency water. The only that's the variable, isn't it? The amount of stuff that you put into the ecosystem, whereas the clothes are already being made.
That's the key thing for anyone to take from this podcast today is the key things to remember: drink Punk IPA and burn all your rubbish.
Have we been going for an hour and a half?
Probably.
So you see, I don't know how this is going to be taken because I think it's fantastic. I think we could go all day. But
just one last thing.
Yeah. James says one last thing and then his computer freezes. So maybe that was his like rock and roll sign off. Maybe he was doing a bit of Tony Iommi. We won't know until he comes back on the line.
I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Right, I've just heard you.
My one last thing was just to remind everyone to like and like all the videos and tell people about it and stuff. That was it, really.
Yeah, just get on the social media, and when I do a really desperate like post for a bit of feedback, it is so appreciated when somebody does feed something back. So yeah, at More Cans Pod on social media, via Instagram or Twitter. And if you want to email us, which we'd really appreciate, first email we'll read out in its entirety on here, no matter what. No matter what.
No matter what.
morecansaintwise@gmail.com. But because of the various technical difficulties that we've had during this one, I am going to have to edit it. So this might come out a few days later, and it might sound a bit questionable. But thank you very much for joining if you've made it to this point.
Yeah, thank you so much for everyone's feedback. I know we keep saying it, but it is really appreciated.
Well, we really enjoy doing it. And if somebody's getting a bit of enjoyment, you know, hearing our rubbish, then that's just happy days. Yeah, well, thank you very much. This has been episode 2 of the More Cans Ain't Wise podcast. We will see you next week.